Arcade Heroes.
Greetings gamers, it's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and we've got more arcade news of brand new arcade machines that are shipping out to the world at large for bars, arcades, movie theater lobbies, anywhere that has a waiting lobby really, a restaurant, a family entertainment center, any place like that that can hold a little machine, take coins or cards, then that'll apply here. And so we've had a bit of news about new arcade releases hitting us this month. It's been a lot more than usual, and of course that has to do with the fact that there was a pause in arcade production back in 2020 and through parts of 2021, and so that kind of just pushed a lot of stuff back, plus all the other issues that stemmed from the production problems out there. But for both of these games, they are ones that I've had quite a few people ask about when they would be shipping, where you could get them, that sort of thing. So we'll start off with Ice Cold Beer by Retro Arcade Remake. So this is a newcomer to the industry. They've been at different amusement industry trade shows, and the videos that I have come from those events where they will have an original Ice Cold Beer machine next to their remake. But one thing that's very impressive is just how faithful these remakes are compared to the old ones. And the only thing that really seems to be different is this teal color is more of a blue on the originals, and I don't know if that's just due to color fading on the originals versus the new prints. Maybe eventually these will also look darker blue. I don't know. But if you're not familiar with this game in particular, it's an electromechanical skill-based game, came out in 1983, and so your goal is to use these two joysticks to move each side of the rod to move the steel ball into one of the the lit up gold target. There's 10 targets in total that will have an LED light up on them, and so you just have to get the ball into one and then guide it to the next, etc., without falling into one of the non-lit holes, which will lose you a life and eventually lose you the game if you're not really good at it. And so I've heard from different operators that this game did extremely well back in the 80s, even into the 90s, and given how strong the bar arcade market is these days, I could see this being a big success. Now, the price on this one, as far as I'm aware, it is going to be a little bit higher than quite a bit higher than the originals out there, but it has newer technology behind the scenes, you could say, where it's been designed for more reliability than what the original sometimes offered. And so pricing might vary. Again, that's just the manufacturer suggested retail price. Now, where do you get this if you're interested? Say you're a home collector and you want to get your hands on this. So any company that sells arcade machines to businesses like mine will sell to a home user. They won't necessarily cut you a special deal, particularly where you're just buying a one-off. So you're probably going to be paying MSRP or close to it, and there might be variations on the pricing by a little bit as well from between distributors. But like, there's a couple that advertise on the Arcade Hero site, like Primetime Amusements, or sometimes Betson's logo shows up on the Raw Thrills one, or Schaefer Distributing is one that's advertised here, or advertises carrying ice cold beers. I think AVS Companies and Player One Amusement Group, and so there's quite a few companies out there that sell these kinds of machines, and those are the ones you would ask, as these are not going to be showing up at Walmart anytime soon. Although, who knows if Arcade 1-Up may try to do an Ice Cold Beer remake. But that's one thing to also note about this, is that it's fully licensed from Taito, has their blessing. Everything on it, even the dithering on the artwork, is the same as the originals. They have Leaf joysticks just like the originals, and so they really didn't skimp out on anything. And these are being built in the USA at via Baytech, which is in Wisconsin. And so if anybody's curious about how the quality of the builds are, Baytech quality is what would fit there. Now, another thing to note is that these guys are also going to be making Zeke's Peak as another licensed remake that should probably come out this summer. And so if you're not familiar with Zeke's Peak, it's the same concept. It's just a mountain climber instead of alcohol, so that it could go into locations more like mine, where I don't have a bar, or a family entertainment center if they don't serve alcohol or something like that, or want something more kid-friendly. And so also worth noting, in this video, you can also see the remake for Warlords, Atari Warlords, that Retro Arcade Remake is presently working on. I want to say they also mentioned Food Fight might be another one that they're looking at, but this would be their first video remake that they're working on. They're definitely trying to work with Atari on licensing that out and creating something that you can get now. And so that's from Retro Arcade Remake, and that just started shipping out yesterday. Not sure what lead times are, but they've been saying that it would be better than pinball machines, which sometimes have been a little difficult to get a hold of, waiting weeks or months to get one sometimes, just due to high demand. But the other game that other people have been asking about is Dead Heat Unleashed by Bandai Namco Amusements. And so this is a racing game that's a sequel to Dead Heat, which came out in 2012, or Dead Heat Street Racing to be specific. And it's got more levels for it, then better graphics, and this hot new cabinet, which does use elements from some of Namco's other racers like Mario Kart and Maximum Tune 5 that you can see in here. Now, this particular cabinet shot, it has some artwork on it that I don't recall seeing at IAPA, or maybe I just wasn't paying close attention, but I just don't remember seeing that side art there with the orange, red, and yellow. But this one is shipping now, and originally Namco had been saying it would be shipping out in the spring, but I guess it was fine enough to start shipping now. They didn't say exactly which day it started shipping, just that it is, so I confirmed it with Frank over at Namco, or Bandai Namco Amusements America. And so I'm not sure what the pricing on this one is, though. They didn't say, and it'll vary between distributors. But I've also got some screenshots here you can find on my channel. Just look up Dead Heat Unleashed or just Dead Heat, and you'll see videos that I took at IAPA of the various courses. From what I was told, there was nothing major changed in the game, just some minor tweaks, but this was designed by the Maximum Tune team, and so if there is a delay in Maximum Tune 7, it's because they were working on this. Although I was hearing a lot, not just myself, but others were hearing that Maximum Tune 7 was supposed to debut at the JPO Expo recently. I almost am wondering if it might have actually been this instead of that, but from what I've been told, it sounds like Maximum Tune 7 definitely is in development. But again, maybe there was some crossing the streams there, I don't know. But thanks to Bandai Namco Amusements for sending me these screenshots of the game, and you can come on to arcadeheroes.com and click on them. Yes, I watermarked them. But yeah, so that's shipping. I'm very curious to see how things are going to pan out, given that, as I mentioned here, with this release, we now have 18 different racing games available for purchase for operators like myself, or even if you wanted one for your house, if you got the money, you can get one. They'll sell to you in most cases, except for Maximum Tune 5, I think. That might require some changes or something, I'm not sure. But yeah, 18 different racing games, and of course that wouldn't count other things like Lycan games and rhythm games and the fighting games like on XR Arcadia. And so how is this going to work when you have so many of the same genre on the market? I'm not sure, but if it affects anybody, it wouldn't really affect us operators. It would affect the manufacturers, as somebody's going to come out on top and somebody's going to come out on bottom when you have that many titles. But as an operator, I am grateful to have so many choices out there, as we've talked about in videos and online here. I mean, NFS Heat Takedown, Drone Racing Genesis, Storm Rider 2, all have come out this month, adding to that overall number. And so it's interesting that we've got so many available right now. And again, I'm happy that we have these options because some of the options out there are a bit expensive, like Fast and Furious Arcade or Asphalt 9 Legends Arcade DX or VR are a bit on the higher end of the price scale, and so these other games are a bit lower, but they're still a lot more than they were, say, 5 years ago. Pre-pandemic, racing games were usually between $7,000 to $8,000 a cabinet, whereas now they're closer to $12,000 to $15,000 for the same kind of model. So like even Cruise and Blast, I've heard, is over $10,000 now. When I got mine, I think for $7,300 each or something like that. And so, yeah, inflation really sucks. And so we'll see if the prices come back down, but more competition does generally mean that it helps with pricing. It's just the other factors at play have been driving it up for everybody. But what do you think? Which of these 18 racing games out there, and I'm including stuff, like I said, it's production, so I'm including stuff like Cruise and Blast and Superbikes 3 and ATV Slam and all those games. But yeah, what do you think? Which of these games interest you the most? Which of the ones that came out this month are interesting you the most? If you've got a location out there, if you want something, do you want to see the industry move into a different genre? I mean, that's going to be hard. I do believe that we're not going to see quite as many brand new racers at IAPA 2023 just because these will all be in production and taking it up. But there are still some games out there like Hypercross that Sega's testing, which shows that there's still other things to do in the racer market, but I wouldn't be surprised if the end of this year and through 2024 you might not see as many fresh, brand new ones. But let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you around.